If you haven't spent much time on that side of YouTube where rich people gain attention for over-the-top pranks or giving away expensive crap, then you probably don't know much about David Dobrik. Which, don't worry, that's where I come in to give you somewhat of a breakdown about this guy and just why the things he's done in his past considers him somewhat of a problematic creator. David Dobrik would actually get his start on the much-missed app Vine, the now-deleted short video sharing app where David would build a following collaborating with other popular creators back in 2013. Collaboration actually became something that David would use entirely to his advantage, seeing growth when it came to welcoming himself into other content creators' audiences. So, when Vine met its untimely demise back in 2015, David, like most ex-Viners at the time, would struggle a bit to move on to other platforms with the goal in mind to have the same amount of success that they would receive on Vine. Though with some luck, David would completely find his niche, successfully finding out that the same fast-paced style that made his Vine content so successful would fit perfectly into a YouTube video format. His vlogs were designed to be pure entertainment. No downtime, no moments of peace, just non-stop entertaining chaos. Almost each video was packed with elaborate pranks, over-the-top comedy bits, and sometimes even emotional acts of kindness. It was an entertaining formula that just kept viewers hooked and coming back for more, which is why in 2019 David's career would start to skyrocket, being featured in Variety and People magazine, while in the same month hosting the Teen Choice Awards, where he would go on to win the Choice Award for Best Male Web Star. By 2021, his career was hitting even more mainstream attention. David was hosting reality shows, launching his own social media network called Despo. On top of that, I should also mention that 2021 was also the year that David would go on to co-host a podcast with fellow content creator Jason Nash. It seemed like David was pretty much everywhere doing a little bit of everything at the time. But a concerning matter with a lot of David's friends or old vlog squad members would be them speaking negatively on their experience with David. Many of the creators that David would surround himself with would release videos or statements about how they felt pressured to play some type of exaggerated character for the vlogs. One of the most prominent people that I can use as an example is Seth François, who in February 2021 accused David Dobrik of enabling his sexual assault. In the video titled, "He Thought He Was Kissing Her, Super Cringy," David would tell Seth that he would be kissing the female content creator, Corinna Koff. It was revealed that Corinna had switched herself out, so Seth would instead unknowingly be sharing a tongue kiss with Jason Nash. Okay. Later, Seth would appear on the H3 podcast to share more about his feelings towards the uncomfortable situation.
Basically, after he took off the mask, I was, it was a split decision. I was like, it's one or two things, like either be natural instincts and be the angry black guy in the room and start yelling at everyone and get physical or whatever that might entail, or I can kind of just, go along with it and, maybe I'll have some new friends that, will support me in my ventures moving forward. And I made the decision to just kind of go along with it. Not understanding what the repercussions would be, and also not understanding, how much, 10 million people are that's seeing something that I'm personally not comfortable with.
Finding himself in yet another set of controversy, this time involving one of his former friends, Dom Ziglitis, who is also better known as Dirty Dom, with his character leaning into all the worst stereotypes of a so-called ladies' man. March 16th, 2021, journalist Kat Tenberg from the Business Insider would publish an article exposing David for filming yet another assault that would unfold during one of his vlogs. In the video titled, "She Should Have Not Played With Fire," Dom would share the responses he got from a social media post where he essentially auditioned a group of young women that would participate in a group activity with him. The video made it clear that the sexual act did take place regardless of how absurd David played it up to be. One of the women involved that night would later accuse Dom of taking advantage of her while she was under the influence. The victim explained that due to her being under the influence of alcohol at the time, she wasn't legally capable of consenting to the group activity. On the same day that the article was actually released, David would later upload a response video titled "Let's Talk."
You know, as a content creator and as a person, and I don't agree with some of the videos I've posted. With the Seth situation, I'm sorry to Seth, because like I said, I just want to make videos where everybody in it, you know, whether you're participating or watching, is enjoying and having a good time. And I missed the mark with that one. And with people in my life that I don't film with anymore, like Dom and, you know, the other people that I no longer film with, I chose to distance myself because I don't align with some of the actions, and I don't stand for any kind of misconduct, and I've been really disappointed by some of my friends, and for that reason I've separated from a lot of them. I think with any video I make, my main purpose is to make people happy and inspire people, and I never want anything to get in the way of that. And I'm sorry if I've let you down, and things like that won't happen again. And I learn from my mistakes, and I also believe that actions speak a lot louder than words. And, you know, you can take my word for it that I'm going to change, but I'll also show you and I'll prove to you that, you know, the mistakes I made before won't be happening again.
Predictably, it didn't take long for the video to face backlash after its upload. The aftermath was pretty brutal for David. Not only would he lose a large chunk of his loyal fan base, but his bank account would also take a significant hit. Bank account. YouTube decided after the drama to temporarily demonetize both him and Dom's channel. On top of that, losing several big-name sponsors and stepping down from his position at Despo. But somehow, just after a few months of not being as active online, David would return to uploading on YouTube in July 2021 as if nothing happened. His content would actually regain the same traction as it had before. It was almost as if he was untouchable. That was until the Jeff Wittek lawsuit. Jeff Wittek, a former Vlog Squad member, would reveal that back in June 2022, he had suffered several injuries while in Utah filming a stunt for one of David's vlogs. This particular stunt would involve David operating an excavator while Jeff would hang on to a rope that was tied to the machine's arm. In true Dobrik fashion, David would spin the arm of the excavator in continuous circles until David would abruptly stop the machine. The incident, well, I'm not even sure if I would call it that, honestly. I mean, what do you call a situation where something bad happens as, like, the direct result of being reckless for the sake of attention? Whatever you want to call it, it led to Jeff suffering very severe injuries. A fractured skull, fractured left eye socket, broken hip and foot, and torn ligaments in his leg. Surprisingly, after Jeff sustained those injuries, he would actually take a very professional route and didn't publicly address anything right away. The public would actually be in the shadows until April 2021, when he released a documentary labeled "Don't Try This at Home." The 5-episode docuseries would actually shed light on the speculation surrounding his injuries and explain how and just why they happened. Now, during the time of the documentary, Jeff didn't actually point any fingers at David, nor did he show any real animosity towards him. That wasn't until the following year, 2022, that the situation would reveal its true dark nature. David would go on to his podcast Views, expressing that he felt Jeff should have taken responsibility for his injuries. David would claim that the stunt had allegedly been Jeff's idea to begin with, but when David tried to offer him a platform on his podcast to talk about it, Jeff had shot it down completely. After hearing the comments that David would make towards the situation, it seemed to reveal some tension between the two. In June 2022, the final nail in the coffin would be hammered as Jeff would officially sue David for the incident, detailing how Jeff almost lost his life and faced the possibility of permanently losing his eye. Essentially, David continued to argue that he shouldn't be held responsible at all because the stunt was entirely Jeff's idea, and he knowingly took part of the stunt despite despite knowing the risk. Since the Jeff Wittek situation, David had taken time to take a break from his regular upload schedule. However, like most things online, nothing really stays gone for long. After a 2-year hiatus, David would make his return to YouTube, and it seemed like the general public's opinion on him had done a hard reset once again. Since the video was uploaded so recently and everything else is kind of happening with the media, I think the public's opinion might just change after this video is being uploaded. But I think it's unlikely considering how problematic creators always seem to make their way back onto platforms with the help of some good rebranding or something. If anything changes, I'll let you know, and I might even cover it in a later video. Or maybe I won't. I don't know. It's David Dobrik. Okay, bye.